Hey church, Pastor Brandon here, and this Sunday we're talking as we continue in our Advent season, and Pastor Bob lit the candle for love this week. And as we think about love in the sense of Christmas, it's pretty obvious what we're talking about. We're talking about the love of God coming down in the form of a baby, Jesus, and we know the whole story, most of us do, but the story continues on after his birth where he gives up his life for us, giving us the greatest example of love that we could have ever in all of mankind. That not just because it was a man dying, but it was the God-man. It was Jesus, the Son of God, giving up his deity and dying for us. So I want us to think about that in terms that we might be able to, how do we exude that same kind of love in our community, to our spouses, to our children, to the people we work with, and to our broader community of Tulare and even in the state of California and the world, right? So that's what we're supposed to do as Christians. So I want us to define it as succinctly as possible, and I thought of 1 Corinthians 13, and you hear this a lot at weddings, but I think this is the best way, especially in 2020, that we can exude love to people and to our community. I think number one, love is patient. Guys, we have to be patient. We have to be patient, first of all, with one another. As the church moves forward and we start making decisions how we can best love our community, guess what? We're not always going to agree with each other, but we can be patient with one another and long-suffering with one another as we just love on each other. And the best thing we can do is just love each other, even when we're in disagreement. And 2020 has brought a lot of disagreement. So church, let's be patient with one another. Love is kind. And here's the deal, guys. There's a huge difference. And if you want to spend some time on this, I challenge you to think about the difference between being kind and being nice. Because Jesus was kind, but I wouldn't always say that Jesus was always nice. Jesus was on point most of the time, and he wasn't nice to the Pharisees, and he wasn't nice to people who were treating people wrongly. He was kind to everyone though. So just a small challenge there to think about how our loving kindness needs to be towards our community. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. I'm going to stop there because that's my pet sin. I'm a very proud person. I deal with pride all the time. It's very easy for me to become haughty and prideful, and so I have to continually humble myself. And I have to start every conversation with, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. So I have to remember that so I don't become prideful and I just spew my opinions and not God's love towards people. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. Stop there for a second. How do we love people in 2020 and not be self-seeking? And this one really drives me crazy because it makes me think of the masks. And I'm not a mask lover, but I'm also not one of those people who are going to go, I'm never going to wear a mask. But I don't like it. But I have to be not self-seeking. I have to be thinking, even if it makes someone feel better, because I know some people argue, well, it doesn't really help. Well, maybe it makes them feel better. And if I'm not being self-seeking, I'm loving that person, don't I want them to feel better? Let's be loving. This is hard. This is hard for me. It does not dishonor, not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. That one speaks for itself, guys. If we're going to love people, we have to start with that patient part. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. And here's the end of it, guys. It always protects. It always trusts. It always hopes. And it always perseveres, guys. The best thing we can do as a church in 2020, as we love our neighbor and we love each other, is we need to persevere together through this. We need to really bind arms together, link together, loving one another, because that's what the world is going to see in the church. Are we first and foremost loving one another? And it's so easy right now for us to be angry and disrespectful to each other and all of these things, but we have to protect each other, trust each other, hope for each other, and persevere. But here's the deal, guys, because love never fails. Love never fails. That's what we want you guys to focus on in the season of love, is that God sent his son and he did not fail because God is love. And he's placed the Holy Spirit in us so that we will not fail in loving one another and loving our community. Church, be encouraged this week as we follow Christ into this Advent season.